Thanks. Right, so we're holding on Tov Lamed Beis, and in order to sum up the previous we'll say that we'll learn the Kitzur, but it's a Dover Haroi to learn the Kitzurim Balawa, because there is one on written by the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Could you say, please, the date and the date and the date and the book that we're learning?
The date.
Right. So today is Gimel Oder Beis. Behemshech the Shirs in Hemshech Tov Shayim Beis. Chelik Aleph Amud Tov Lamed Beis. I think that's about all, right? וזהו שהקורבנס נקרואים לחם וכתרס ריח. פעולת הלחם שמחבר הנפש עם הגוף יש בבחינת חייס פנימי. We saw that the Indian of the nefesh, being as it was moved over tachlis from the goof, is the Yischabrus needs a koyach hamachaber yisam, a Indian from a mamutza. And we discussed some aspects of that mamutza. Pulas alechem, however, is that it causes the nefesh hislabshusay in the goof, but even shal chayas pnimi mamish. Shekol eva ve'eva chay, but even chayas proteus from the slabshus nefesh. Umachazik koichoi, and therefore we see that beheder halechem, and then there's an infant chalishas. And Davke Aladei in an Achila, there's a infant Toisefes Gilui, which is called Chizuk Akoyach. Umekomokim, Eine is Chadshas Achayas. We saw it's all the Chayas, how it is Nimsha, Mia Nefesh, but even that it's Mislabish in the Ephraim, and the Pulas Alechem is to be mamshik the same Oifen and the same Sug. Hachayas in the Evarim. It's not mamish Hachayas Chodosh from the Mokya Ha'achmi. It's Le'achli was the Shendor. Ha'ora Mea Nefesh to the union the Chayas Pnimius in the Guf. Then Pulas Alechem is that it's Mechazik and Me'afsher in a way of that Islabshir. Ukamai Kain Lamaila we found that Vayosi Panasosi, that the Eibushter calls Yidden, Vayosi, and he calls them his Panosa, Kavioho, and we saw that was not through the Yidden themselves. Achmom Abalida Korbanes, the Shnei Tmidim is the Indian of Panosa Lamaila, and that was the Indian as his Chabres Oeres Be Keilim. However, it wasn't the Indian from the Mokia Achmi of the Oeres Mamish, but it was the ha'ora of the eres which was already shot to the kelim, but nonetheless it needed a mamutza to be mamish mamshik the oil in the kli, and that was the pulas korban. The bechinas kiloi odom yitzamtzem bechinas mare odom. Kiloi odom, that was the union of mokya achmi of the eres, how he's moved all the gamri from any ha'ora into even achilas. The ilu. The Indian from Mare Odom, that was already the oils how they were shayat to Raponim Gilui in Achilas, and Afila Islapsis in the Kelim. But that was the concept of Mare, the union of Ha'ora Bovad in Achil of Odom. For you, the Mokia Achil, how we use the higher than the meaning from Ma'achil, the union from Mokia Achmi of the earth, even from Avdola, from the Ha'ora Shayak El Akeilim, but that's called Loy Odom. In other words, it's not Shayak there, the union of Tzimtzum B'Tzir Odom. And so the Pulas HaKorbanis was a Hamshocha of Mare Odom from Kilo Odom. The Ilu we saw the Reach Meishiv as a Nefesh. We saw the union from Meishiv. The pshat that the figure the nefesh in a state of histalkis mamish me kelim va'ivorim legamrei, and it's gone back into the atzmi of the nefesh how he's lamailaf and gilo in the goof. Pulas Harayach is that it's Meishiv, it can bring back a new, and Dafti the Loshin is a new is Chachis of the Chayas. In other words, we're Mamshich from the Mokeh Ha'atzmi, Oidapam, the Gilu of the Chayas, but that means that Magabi, the Chayas that was there before, it's a new Gilu, a new is Chachis, even though it comes ultimately, even from Mara Odom, of the Shuras, is only another Inyan. And it's like we could say that it's like the old cloud, that wherever there's been a Chalishas and a Hefsek in a Inyan, if you Machadish it, Mi Mokeh Ha'atzmi, then to a certain extent, that's a new Frischkeit and a new Gilui in the Etzem Zah. And Lamashal, I remember the view was Chomogiat von Menschen was halten, von Tifel, Begufam, even Meduktak, and the whole Inyan von diet and TV use, what they tell that Machler Chamonim Klan or even Heder Ablius in the Guf, that's even Chelkiel upon him, in Shel Siluk. And all day what you poil the Inyan von Chidish Ablius Bechazorah, then the Mensch, Bechol Gufayim, Bechol Inyan is stronger than what he was before. Yeah. In other words, since he's overcome that particular Chalishas, on Mikana Lahaba, there's a Maila in the Oifen of the function of his Guf, which he's never had before. That's a certain dimension. In other words, that you're like a new mensch because you've overcome. There's been like a Shlila, and the new Gilui, the Chiyuv, is a Chiyuv Naila, Lagabi the Friedik Inyan. And therefore we see that every Koyach of his Gabras becomes a Inyan from Seder. Pirush, that there had to be his Gabras, but once that completes these Gabras, it doesn't just disappear. No, that remains. Kilo the Seder Hatmidi Mikanola Alahaba, which means that a mensch, he's become Bori, le'achrei a certain Shlila Sabrius, then he's to a certain extent the Mila from Briusa is more than what it was before. And that's Be'eref Tenakuda here. That once you've been choizer into the Etzem Mokeh Ha'atzmi, and you bring about a Ischachus, then that's a Ischachus Pekole Inyanim. It's a new Inyan in the Chayz, which it hasn't been there before, even though it's also Nimsha B'Teik Mare Odom. So it also comes into the Ha'ora, which is Shais, but it's a new Darga and a new Teikif in the Ha'ora. I say Kumtais. Amamere. Ischachus Achai. So Lamaila, who am Shocha mi Atzmuserin Seif, Leo is Odom Adamer Le'elyoin. It causes a whole new Inyan, that even though we have to say that Beklolis Eses Filas Datsilas Afilu Mirashis is Avuzam, there's a certain Inyan from Adamer Le'elyoin. Kisokosot, the Oiras and the Kelim, particularly the Kelim, how they shot the Kelim Vakim over in some of our Barichas, there is a certain Dimian in Bama, the fire roof is Adamer Le'elyoin. What the Rabbi means is that Le'achri has been a new Toisefas Giloi from the Mokeh Ha'atzmi, but this is the Pu'ula, the Reyach, the Kitoiras, then we have to say that it's a new Inyan in all Inyanim. Remember, the Adamer Le'elyoin, which comes about if he's there, is on a new Oifen. And what is that? Yes, the Rabbi says, Bechinas ki lo ya'adam the zo k'moi arik. In other words, it's not just that it's a new Inyan in the Mara Odom, of the Mara Odom itself, there becomes a Kli, the Kelim, become Kelim, to a Inyan which is a new Gilui Atzmi from the Mokeh Atzmi. In other words, the Loi Odom is more Begilui in the Odom than what it was Melachatchila. Remember, that's a fascinating Inyan. It comes to us that every time you go up into a higher Inyan, and you go up into a higher, and you draw on a higher Mokeh, then that becomes Kilo Akinyan in the Seder Harogel. Hulai, Yesh Ladamis Be'erech, to what we find, I mean, it's a Gishmach and a Kuda. It's like we find Benegir to the Moshe Rabbeinu at the end of it's the Kriyas HaTorah in Purim, in the Shul on Purim, we by day, Vayovo Amalek, and then at the end, ויקרא מוישה שם המזבח השם ניסי, השם ניסי, ויקרא לו מוישה השם ניסי, ויאמר כי יד על קייס קרוב נחמה להשם בעמלק מדור דור. אבל זה so the Baal Shem Tov said, was it a time he called the Mizbeach Hashem Nisi? Was it a time? Yeah, the Eivish is my nest. You're calling the Mizbeach a name. Yeah? You want to call it, say the Eivish made a nest, or call it Hashem's nest, or what's up Hashem Nisi? So the Friedrich, it's a famous pure from the Friedrich about that. Well, he said the Baal Shem Tov gesagt that once a nest has happened, then that nest becomes terror. That nest goes into the Seder HaRogel. But if you want a nest, you have to have a higher nest. Which means, that every nest that happens is a higher nest, like every the nest was what they've been earlier. And the fact does it, Hashem Nisi. The Eibishter made a nest here with them Mizbeach, but it doesn't yet my nest. It's already become my union. It's already gone into my Seder, he could, you didn't already put that into their kesher there. That's a single one zera. If you're going to make another nest, you have to make an higher form in the whole union of net. That is a pshat vayiko, Shem HaMizbeach, Hashem Nisi, so my nest. It's already mine. If you're going to give anything further, we're looking for incomparably greater than that Lafi Erech. If it was a great gila, then we have to have incomparably greater. And remember, that's what the Rebbe says here. The Rebbe Chile is ein von Mare Odom mit alle Unionen und sind alle Elim mit alle gute Sachen. Aber leache what you've been going on new is Chatches und bedimmen gesehen die in von die Odom Atzmoy, like we saw in the in a Gufa Odom. Then if there's a Chatches from the Atzmi, from the Moki Atzmi Mamish, and that becomes Misate mit the Makabel, then the Makabel's going on under the Makabel. You can't give him the same Unionen was Atkoi. And if a Muzvan, a whole new Seder, and Fakir, he then becomes higher than what he was. He then becomes bedimian to her. A Madrega was al derech ha'ishtalshus adove is aloi berech elav. And that's the pshat that Zoh, which is Zair Ampin, becomes a kli to Arik Ampin, to the infant, the Zober concept, the Ampin, Pnimius, and Ponim, even from Gadlus, Shaloi Lafi Erechad was when I get to Zair. That's the whole reason of Yeda Ish Chatches becomes a dover Atzmi and Misatzim with the Makabel. If he's going to have something Le'achrim is there, then he has to have Keseda higher. That's the Pshat. Moving Lafi Zeh, Kama Diktukim, Kama Inyon.
So maybe it's a bit like the Histalkus Achayas every Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you're right. And that's what. You got a good point. If you buy Rosh Hashanah, Histalkus Achayas, the Achayas of Mistali. We have to bring down Mamish Mimoka we bring all new things. Good point. Alter Rebbe writes. It says it's a new wing and it's never been before. And that becomes a Seder HaRogel. You remember, Ibrahim, next Rosh Hashanah, if we're going to be Mamshich, you can't just be Mamshich Terror, that's already become Nisi, that's already go on minor. You have to have Obma'in and Shalei Berach, higher. Enochanai. Enochanai. It's hot in here, I don't think it's hot, it's some shy stuff. I don't know, maybe I got a sweater. Don't nobody have any further if I take off my coat. So further. Like his Gavrasa. His Gavrasa Queen. So going a bit dizzy from the heat. Strange. Behine, Kishem Dabaveda, just like we saw in Aveda, I have first been Korbanis Liktoiros. Der Korbanis hu Aveda do Pnimi Uketeros hu inen Makif. Kmoi kein hu ההפרש בבירו ותיקון הקליפס נגו הנעשה על ידי זה. דבקורבנס מסתכן הו פנימי לבוד. the Klippus Nega. And that's the beginning of the whole beer. And then we'll see at the end that Alidei the Ketoiras, it's the Makifim of Klippus Nega. And this is the beginning of the Teretz to the Shaila. We asked at the beginning of the Maimah that we brought down, that we brought from the Kisvei Arizal, the Eitz Chaim, there was mashma there, that the Bira, the Korbanis, is well known as the Bira of Klippus Nega, the Ine from the Bahema of Gabi Adensberg. And we saw that the Ine from Reach, the Keter was Ein Arei Chaya, that's what we said. So in this moment that I've said over there, it's written that it's also a Bira from Klippus Nega, that the Ike Bira, the Keter, is also Klippus Nega. So that Rebbe said, Im Kain, what do we reach a conclusion in the previous drush that the Veda of Keter was Ein Arei Chaya in the Inin Korbani. Since so close up about a Bira in the Inin of Klippus Nega. So now we're beginning the Teretz. And we're going to say that the Inyan of Korbanis, Vibaldas Inyanim is Achila, with all the Inyanim we just saw. And therefore their tikkun is in what you might call the Pnimi of Klippus Nega. In other words, the Chayas, which is Nimshak to the Klippus Beif and Arogim in Klippus Nega. Ve'ila, the Inyan of the Reach, we're going to see is a beetle in the Etzem Moke V'Shoresh of the Klippus, particularly Klippus Nega, from the Makiv Amiti Shalehem. And the Inyan HaKetoiras is Goyrem a beetle al Dervi, where it's brought down by the Meraglim, Sor Tzilom Mi Aleihem Lachmeinu Heim. There's a Kolev. He said their Makiv has gone away, their Tzil, what that's Inyan for Makiv, has left them. In the middle we can eat them up, they're nothing, they're bottled, they've lost all their materials. So we'll see that that's al Terech Zeh, that's the difference. In other words, that if you mavara the Pnimi from Klippus Nega Sokol Sof, he still remains Ezeshu Matthias, he can always, as it were, gather together. What you might call the pieces and come back again. If you mavara him and mavatel him be'etzem shorosh hachayas shaloi, who nishal aloi kol chayas klal, then how do you call it? He's had it. There's no way that he's going to come back, and that's what Kolev time that the whole Knisa into Eretz Yisrael and the Shiatat Shemayim being in, and how it is Mitzad Mumayla, that the Eibush is taken away the whole. That this is the Eis Rotzen, because the Eibush has been Mesa Mehem, or he's prepared to be Mesa. The Inyan Amakif Mehem, that if the conquest of the beetle and the actual conquering of the Klippus is a Inyan for just doing it. It's not. There's not going to really be any Milchama al Derech Harogim. That's what we'll see as we go along. The Aveda in the Inyan from Korbanis is Rak B'Koiches Pnimium the Nefesh, the Haino Aveda She'al Pitam Vo Das, Okay, Harizeh Poyol Abiro the Noiga B'Prinas is Kafir Lavot. But that was what we were just medayik. When you cause a bira b'derech iskafia, then you've only, as it were, you've only quetched the Inyan into a skavtzus, into a tzimtzum lamata. It's always a possibility that the teikif will return gradually, because the Metzias is there. It's only been nichve klapi mata. So there he says that that's the Inyan of the bira al yedei the korbanis and the avodah shal pitam v'das. Iskafia v'hainu rak ba'ishpashtus the nefesh habamiyas. In other words, rak in the Inyan agiluim shaloi. Yeah, and even that is only a chalishes. It's not a hasora or bittul mikol v'kol. It's only a chalishes. Yeah, he remains somewhat in the yechilas, how you might say, loshuv l'teikvei. Avo alidei haktoidos nizbara ha'oya makiv. Who are makif to Levena Zakor. That's what we say in the Yudal of Samamonim, but the clip is, sorry if it's Pera, Chalbana, Levena, Zakor. And it's brought down, we're soon going to quote it, it's Mamish brought down in the pre-Eitz Chaim from the Arizal in Proteus, that the different Salomonim which are mentioned, they are keneged certain inyonim in the clippers, certain koiches in the clippers, and the inyan from Leveina Zako, that is keneged, and that is the koich to be mevatel, the makif, and in makif gufa, the makif ha'atzmi of the clippers. And so then what's going to ask yourself to Shaila, why is it called Leveina Zako? Because the word Zach tends to indicate a inyan for dachis or maila. And because the word Leveina also indicates Ayin from Love, Lavnunias, Peshitas. So we'll see that in every Inyan there's a Ayin Keneged, Liumazeh. So there's certain Lavnunias also in Inyan, a clip is a certain Teikev and Peshitas, even though Bevua, de Buvua, Leis Lahuki, Adua, Avachopanim, Adimin, Misug, Mesuyam, Yesh afilo in the clippers. So therefore he says, "Who amachit Leveina Zako, shezeu ike inyan akteros, shemizbarer alidei zeh ha'oya machit amachaya oisa." In other words, Lefize, Leveina Zako is really the emes inyan of the keteros. Even though there's other inyanim, the ike pe'ula of the keteros is Sokosov alidei de Leveina Zako. Because that's mevatel, the makif, and in the makif, the amitis makif, or the teikev makif shebahem, and lochein ikra habitl, not just bira, or not just iskafia, but the ikra bitl of the klippus neiga, who are the actors davke. In other words, and it's like we said on many occasions, the ikra Tzora, and the Ika, what you might call Nisoyan, is the Klippus Neiga. Because as the well-known saying has, it was Mitorn is Tominish. V'derech Klal Pi Rov Yidden, no, something is forbidden. Cholila, Isaac Zayim Tamid. The whole thing is, where it says, well, here I am, I'm mutter, here I am, and I've got all the hexes, and I've got Mamish, the Ike Nesoyen is Dake in Klippus Noiga, as is one known. Those are the Ike Nafila, the Ike Mixer. The Choloinyonim is Dake in Klippus Noiga. And therefore, I don't think I mentioned once, brought down in certain goys, swallowing from the goys of Polish. There was some noisy given Befrat in Penimus Atera. They wrote and they said that the Ike, they were still worried that maybe they have an Achis in Klippus Neiga. You're right, when they're already Goyes of Bali Madregas. Yeah, we'll see as we go along here maybe why that could be. Because we're going to see that even in Bittel, there's all sorts of little Madregas where we're going to see the Chassidus writes of, even if you feel in a very dachastic way, your Mila or your Bittel is it. That's what they meant by Klippus Neiga. The Indian from Klippus Neiga, the feel and see that there's a certain importance of your Matthias Benegela called dog. Those are Klippus Neiga. So therefore, the Rebbe said that the beetle of Klippus Neiga is not when you take away the whole etzim shel, the whole Indian, what that's makiv. Those are the amitis achayas from the Klippus. If you take that away, then you're on the new wicket, to use the old Australian expression. However, he said, Lochein Ike Beetle is alidei K'toros. Taharei, Nizbu Eliel Perek Reishud Alev, the Ike Achai Sholehem, Umi'ar Makif, over there we spoke, just a couple of chapters back, we mentioned that the whole Ike Chayes, that's why they Yud Aleph, that their Chayes is also counted as one, as a Matthias, even though it's a Makif. Well, that's killed the whole Ike from what they are Makabel, and therefore, their Esses Filas are just a Iniva. Von Chitenius Achayes Shelehem Bilvad, and a Mi'at, which is Nimshach Lehem B'derech, also B'derech Golas, or B'derich Chayes, which keeps them, is the Inen HaMachiv Shelehem. And therefore, the Yud Aleph Tafki with the whole beer that we had just a couple of chapters ago. So there was the Ika Chayes, who may Makiv, V'kasher So Tzilom Me Alehem. But once that Makiv passes away and is literally misbattle, or how would you call it, mistalik mehem, harihei misbatlim legamre. Those are the words. But then they lose the whole toichiv, the whole metzias. You're going to get to any Indian which could be a bitui shelahem, zekwa botel. In other words, it could be that there's still eizeshu shemetz mihem nisha, but ein bezekol ischashvus or ein bezekol isharvus benegel kedusha. I mean, they just become bottle bekol mitzidusa. Says the Rebbe nimmt that the Ike pulis abitu. Yeah.
This is Nachum Keppel.
Huh?
This is Nachum Keppel.
Shalom Aleichem. How are you?
This is his checks.
Huh?
This is his checks.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Okay.
Just talk
So
later.
should be in a good show, and she should be a Chassid Shabbat. Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And simply, Rav Gavzi, all these years that they were marking the Keteros in the Beis HaMikdash, but we still see that there's a Klipas Noiga, and it still has a lot of...
Where did you see this?
It didn't become Batal, the Klipas.
Where did you see this? Das Gesetz, Keteros, die ist gesagt, du bist doch Hakoya.
Yeah.
Ich meine, weil das hat nicht schäppen mit dir. Hast du zu Jörg gesagt? Hast du gerade ein Chazoin Pnimi? Ich gesagt, die Keteros hat. Ich sage, wo ist die gesagt? Als ich gewinnt Keteros, and there was still a mocking the Klippus Nege.
We still have the Klipa.
No, Kirchhoff, there's still King Keteros. So what is the answer? What is the answer? The answer is that in Emerson, Alidei the Keteros, the Klippus were bottled. The Klippus Nege was bottled in the Shivan. No, then there's a problem that you can say, wait a minute, yeah, he's bottled, but ich will bring enough tzarek. I'll bring him back. In other words, who the mensch is mamshich al atzmai, then he brings him back. Punkt. Wieder die Mushugoyim, die Poishe Mulchama, die Mushugoyim, Poishe Memordim. Was sie sagen da, was haben sie getan? Der ganze Arafat hat gewann gepegete. Nein, es ist gegangen mit dem Meurer, mit dem geschleppt auf Zürich. War mehr beschadet, bei so Miktisch ist Kajam, und die Keteros geht, Klippus Nege ist a rider. Elim kein die Geist again. Is it nein. Ich will dir aufwecken. Komm. You come to me, komm. Oh, don't finish. Aber die was gehad, a Chayas in der Beis HaMikdash, und die was gewusst, sie gehen an andere Leben. Ja, und das steht uns drin. Das meine Beis hat gesehen. Kashem Shibor Liris, Kapor Liris. Ja, Leroy is Kapor Liris. And that lasted the whole time till the next time round. The Alter Rebbe writes it in the Kutei Torah that you went into the Beis HaMikdash, that held you till the next time round. And that was a big chesed from Shvuos. It was only a few weeks from Pesach and Shvuos. And then he came back noch einmal around.
It's very subjective. It's not that it's mevatel the klippa. It's just
Is it
subjective.
It's
The rest of the world.
It's a mevatel the klippa. No, the mensch never got a koyach mit Bechira, mit time Meshugas. He can bring it back. Konnte es von sich auch upon him. He can slip it back around. Hast du verstanden? Das ist nicht. Ich glaube, right. What's the station is? That's what we just pointed out. It's not the taste that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, it loses its whole take. Aber hier, he's got a koyach awesome. Look, keep a quick in Perikot Dalet in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe says, things kishish de'ishte, and when the Hoytot dot, the Alter Rebbe, and he says, Ein ora moiv avera. You look at it, you'll see. He doesn't bring Ein ora moiv avera, he'll kein nickness by Rogstus. Hoytot, in mitten the Perikot, on the second Omer. Zeh shom, loch ein Omer, Ein ora moiv avera, chulu, שאפילו האישה מן האפס דאיתו קלה, הוא יש לו משל ברוח תבוסה, and לא היה רוח שטו, he finally gets to it. What's going on around here? Ein Odom Oiv Avera. So what does the Alter Rebbe say? Ein Odom Oiv Avera. A Odom, הנפש של הכיס, העיד, קונשת היו זין על Avera. נפש כיס שכתו. שכתו? זה לא תסוי. Kann nicht sein. Ja, wo ist der in Ruhestuhl? So, das ja. Ruhestuhl. Ja. En was een Ruhestuhl? Wezen we niet, het is een vreemde zaak. Was kriegt er ein, so strange thing, het kriegt er ein, of verdreht ik, of een gefällige man. Ruhestuhl. Ja, well, that's yeah. And that's what we said. It's not a tight that the clip is, no, it just doesn't exist anymore. It's a bottle. And if you just leave it the way it is, the way the guitarist made it, it'll never have any koach anymore. Maar if die is de chacham met dein Ruhestuhl, and du kommst again and said, yeah, maybe wake up for me, and kannst du move weg.
Es ist bottled bei Metzias, lo bei Mehus.
Huh?
It's bottled by Metzias,
Yeah.
lo by Mehus.
Lo be'etzem minyone, it's not there anymore. That's what we point out. If you listen to it, you'll hear it. That's what we get up.
What's the explanation of when, there was a plague?
Huh?
In Chumash. There was
Chumash.
In Chumash.
Yeah.
There was
Plague.
A plague, yeah.
Yeah.
And Aaron ran
With the Keteros.
So, how was there a plague before?
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was
So
Keteros
what
that
happened
made-
was-
And what is that special Keteros did?
What do you guys do? It's almost here, 8:45. Ze draaien zich om allemaal frische meisjes. Ze kregen door om 9:00. I don't know. I can't. Mir hat es schon. Das he told so aufgehört so bottle weit. And that's a dumb for the. Also von ihm, you're talking about a plague, yeah. We come to, yeah, say noch einmal, nicht touch. Once on through the Keteros on the plague, then there can never be another plague in the world. It's just ending. Finished. There's no plagues left in the world. They're completely always in. That particular plague became bottle of it. Der Indian bleibt, ad lo ye av es ruach tuma av yir min ha'or, that's marish. But that's, you understand, that's always a possibility. Das ist der Pshat, das ist die Alter, wie kann sein? Ein oder moi va vera, a mensch, look up in Tanya, you'll see, he doesn't write the full lesson, he just say, no, you left in the middle, it's ein oder moi va vera, where's he getting that? He just said that there's the clippers in the Sitrachim, and they look in Perikov Tanya, what do you do it? That's what he says. No, Adam, the way you really are, Michal, you never really ain't Adam or Chaya. Say where the panos. How does it happen? Oh, roast. And that's all in from plagues. Plagues from telling Yonim. Say, come on, Michal. What it really boils down to is it's a difficult thing. But you have the power with your Ruhestuhl. Du kannst aufwecken. You can wake up, things which are write-offs. You follow? Mitzad etzem makir, they're write-offs. But you can slip them back in. Bediuk is our ancestor. Bediuk, mamish bediuk, nein. Was ist der ganze Matze, was ist alles Mitzad.
Rav Gafni, when we say the Keteros every morning, can we mavatal the Klipas Nega?
Yeah. State in the Zohar Kodesh.
Yeah.
That you should be very medactic to say the Keteros, because when you do, you cause a tremendous beetle in all Inyonim, and you mamshich Eres Getoilim, Alatzmecho, Albeischo, and state on that. In Pasha Tetzaveh, that's Pasha Tetzaveh. And the Zohar Kodesh, I said, was mentioned that the Mizbeach at the end of everything, the famous Shara, the Mizbeach HaZohar, right at the end of everything, sagt the Zohar Kodesh, es heute on Gissen zu Wort, all sorts of minor stuff inside the Keter. Business. We're zugekommen, einer war hier gewarnt, Efra is Bishmai, and he says, it's very hard for me, he doesn't have time, is it right if he just says the Keter? Maybe he'll just say the Keteros, and he'll make other Korbanos a bit schwacher, because he doesn't have any time, but he hears this Meister. Is it all right? So what am I supposed to tell him? Was it like himself? So I said to him, listen here, have a good Korban, mean perfectly good as you can, and say the Keteros.
So how am I supposed to say the Keteros that the Klipa should become Bafna? How B'Poel Mamash, how am I supposed to say the Keteiros in order to Mabata the Klippas?
Just said, Pnimis HaKavana, als alles was steht in Zohar Kodesh und in Chassidus, soll alles mekuyem werden, und das Bild ist so weg, dass es wird werden. Vater, bist du fair?
But he won't get to daven.
Huh?
It'll take him hours to get his tefillin on. He's got a minion wearing.
No, he doesn't anymore. He's only finished. He's only brechen before this to come in. They don't know the Master, but each of the Master, they used to say this, given problems. Each of the Master, given Orville, there was big problems because he used to, so he sometimes used to just run away in the middle of the day. He just left the home and just ran away. They had to stand up a new chassid, don't stop him like that. He just wasn't there anymore. He came in, at the end of the seat there was a few people left, he got him and he said, I can't, he says, that's all. I think they told the story about the Rogachova, the Rogachova. Also, he used to say one Kaddish or something. When he had the outside of his mama, he used to say one Kaddish at the night time. The rest he was too busy learning. So he said to him, he said, my mom is zufrieden mit der meinen einzigen Kaddish. He said, we understand one another. He said, my mom is, she's happy even with, she's happy with that. No, she knows she's happy to get that. If it's me, I was given by the Mitchell all the time. He's like, I can't keep up with him. I need discipline.
Tonight's my mother's yahrzeit.
Huh?
Tonight's my mother's yahrzeit.
Oh, is it? Oh, you have to say, you have to be
I
careful.
come with the testimony.
Well, anyway, I'll leave it up to you. Anyway, Zika is an old Zeinmerk in your tijd. We zal zijn zich met alle men teken van mij ja, mamisch. Weet je wat? So there we are. Al Chapanim, what we said was a bit b'derech hamusa of it's very important. It's very important. Hine, says the Rebbe, ik saw chilam me'aleihem, Yeharehem misbatlim legamrei. Misbatlim legamrei is the teich in der Gilu, in der Teike, not in the Retzematzia. Vehine amachiv de leveino, hu beginnes atik de klippa. In other words, in the Teike, hamachiv, that's what you might call the pnimis hamacha. I don't want to use the expression, the machiv hachozo.
But so,
Huh?
We said that the self itself.
Yeah, einach. So the Indian is that they do have two madrigas in Klippa, but that doesn't count to the bavur. The bavur k'moshu b'kidusha, and the time is the pashas Indian that in kedusha the bavur is always zich legamrei. There's no mavukish le'atzmei. There's only who ein noid mavad. You understand? In other words, there's no looking for the self cloud. Only the etzem meaning for nevikos. In the Klippas, even with all their teikev is a teikev the atmun. You understand? It's a teikev when the Indian ayesh is of epis mamala zayna bakosha. And therefore, no matter how far they go in the teikev, it can't reach the bavur. The bavur is in kedusha. In other words, they can have different daragas in their teikev of its osfazir. Das ist der Herr der Klar. It's mavu in the Emshech Veneta, the representatives. Amamir, Lavein is auch in the Ati de Klippe, the Kain mu when we create Chayim. The Choshi beprotis amadregas da yud alav sama monim, that the create Chayim over there writes the different proteus amadregas of the 11 spices of the Keteiros. Kosav, the Achori Shebeketeiros who Keser. In other words, that's what the Machiv Shebehem, by Mashkosu, Besida, who Arizal, Miarav, Shabsai, Rashkova, what the guys. He's called, that doesn't mean the Rashav. That means Rav Shabchai Rashkova. That's the way they write it. There's two Siddur Arizal, maybe three. There's a Siddur Arizal for the Rabbi Yankov Polak, and Marie Polak, There's another Siddur Arizal from the Rav Shabsai Rashkova. But he was actually, I think he was Mamish Talmud for the Baal Shem Tov. He certainly knew the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov knew him. I think he was Mamish Talmud. As he wrote a Siddur Arizal, and that's what he meant. That Rosh Hashanah means him.
It's not the Nusach of the Arizal.
No. The Nusach Arizal, the Alter Rebbe.
No, but it says the Alter Rebbe.
The Siddur Arizal is the Nusach Arizal also. But it's with all sorts of biurim and inyanim of the Kisvei Arizal in all the different kavanah, with all the kavanas in inyanim keilu, of in that good different gilsoyas and different approaches.
This is Pirushim, it's not the Nusach.
Yeah, it's like Tziyunei HaKavanah, with certain background Pirushim, mi Kol Meluchet, mi Kisvei Arizal. Ulavoino hu amachiv shel maila mize. In other words, a tzori is already a ayin from keser. In other words, a machiv. But in their machiv, like we just saw, a toik of odioisa, which is not a steer as we just explained, to bavua shibavua. Yeah, hu amachiv shel maila mize. We're soon going to see it's not really said to say la maila, it's really la mata. You never said it's la mata. La maila means in the toik, in the bren. Shepherdova, ve'im kain hu b'chinas atik the clipper. In other words, it's like the pneumius of the toikev of the clippers. Shazo clipper kosher b'yoser, ve'hi betachtias hu asiya. It's at the bottom of Elam Asiya. Now we're going to see why does the Rebbe say that. It should be somewhere at the beginning if it's atik. Because what we're going to see is that in the clippers, the bigger they are, the more they are at the bottom. Everything's the other way around by them. The closer to Kedusha is more Chalishas. And the further you go down, then the more you become Betachas. In other words, the Kedusha, you can take it as Lamaila, and the further you go down, the more Chalishas, the more Miut, V'tzim Tumim. V'yilo Etzlam, they're Makabel from Malchus to Malchus to the Nefesh Dasi, as the Alter Rebbe brings in Perikut Ches, and from then on, they start gaining their toika, which means that for example, their Atzilus is go, Shvacha Yinyanim in Klippa. The further you go down, that's when you get more toika. You remember the Leveina Zako, he's Betachti as Kola Asiya. ומזה שנקרא Leveina Zako, that's what's called Leveina Zako. It was of the word Zako. Zaka indicates an from purity. Who mipnei sheyesh bo mea kedusha. There is in the afira this toikiv of the makif at a ganze klippe. There's also in that ayin from kedusha. Ainu madrege taktoina mipchinas malchus da asiya. The madrege taktoina should be malchus da asiya. That is in the Leveina Zako. It's a famous daf that I have. It's a whole famous portion in the Zohar. It's brought Kamam Kings. The Malchus Dasia, he beimke a klippes. For Malchus Dasia, that's Malchus the Kedusha Dasia. Malchus, that's the last fila in Olam Asiya. That's the last Gilui of the Oila to Kedusha, Aliyah and Asiya. And so, literally, the Zohar Rakia, V'Shem HaZohar, he says that Malchus is B'im Ki HaKlippes. What's it B'im Ki HaKlippes? It's the lowest Madrega in Kedusha. And then the Klippes start being Yoinik, Misham Ulahaba. It was just B'im Ki HaKlippes. Now, those are the Pshat. The Davki from the Tachtis of Malchus to Asiya, the Leveina Zaka is Makabel. Now that's going to present us with a slight difficulty. Let's just read a couple of lines further. V'zeu b'china Zako, ha'mishlabeshes b'Leveino. That is the Zako, the Gilu Kedusha, which finds itself bislabshes in the Leveino. Now we're not touching the word Leveina b'fnei atzmai, b'regazeh. Leveina is that we're being Makabel, that's the maki for the Klippers, Ati. Zako indicates that there's a certain Zachus, a certain Kedusha, verbehalten in that. V'ayinenu, Dehine zer liyum hazeh ozer likim. What zer liyum hazeh indicates that the inonim are similar, but they're opposite. Zer liyum hazeh means it's got a similarity. There's a certain parallel, but study mafukim. There's on one side, there's on another. Remember, how does he teach it here? To kishem, sheyesh dalar elam is abiyah ve'es sfiras, kesef chokma bina chagas kula b'kedusha, k'moy ken yesh b'liyum hazeh. רק שבליום הזה הוא ההפך מהקדושה. הנה בקדושה הרי כל העולם שהוא עליון הרי בתוקף, ריבוי היועסה. וכל מה שירד למטה הרי מסמיין. ובליום הזה הוא להפך. וכל מה שירד למטה הוא בחינת תוקף יועסה. הרי בקדושה, and then he goes on to be masber that now. The whole big beer, the Rabbi's masber in Kedusha, he started off very high and you know, all of them together. And then you go down and there's certain mutim where more things play and certain don't. There's a whole series of gradated mutim in the way that the different spheres interact and the way they play. Mashinkin and Liyumaz, it's the other way around. So in Cain, what's it the pshat what he said here, that the Ravina Zako is Makabu Mimalvis, and he told Turkey for being the Atik, the Clipper, comes from the in of Malchus Dasia, and that's the pshat of Malchus Dasia is beimka klippers. Mashma, there's some meaning in Malchus Dasia, which is mamish beimka klipper. And in a minute, there's going to be a bio here, what from Malchus Dasia, it's going to atzil the klipper, and that's chalas. It's a go chalas. And gradually as you go down, it gets more and more and more. And then eventually you reach Lazaina Zachar, that's betakti is kolahin on him, and you just said, no, that's, Malchus Dasia, get a line in them, Atik the Klipper, and Adarabah Mishum Zehu Beimka Klippers. We stimmt das. You understand? It doesn't add together. So we have to say that the Pshat is there. You're talking them. And I looked for a beer in the Lashonas Be'ezba, Be'emshech, a Perik. L'chor Eloi Matzosi, La'isat, Havhora, Mamish Begol. So we have to say that the Pshat is to say. Malchus, Dasia, is Kipshute Malchus. You remember, in the Malchus of every sphere, of every Elam, well, that is the Ike Uftu of the Hamshochas Atzmiyim circle. So, in Kedusha, or wherever you're talking about, the Hamshocha Betuich HaMalchus, well, that's from the Mokia of the Tuich of the Shurish Amiti, the ganze Seder from Kedusha. Pink to say, we say, that Shurish HaMalchus is therefore in Reisha Deloy is Yada. The Shurish Sfiras HaMalchus is in Pnimis Ve'atmius HaKes. How do you say? Mireish Mekedem ne Nasucha, so Meiser Machshav Tchil. Aber Mireish Mekedem Nasucha, zit runtergegossen der Linien am Alp. Can't do it, of remember, יש להם שגם כאן, דווקא in the Indian of Malchus, בסוף העשייה, there's a toikiv. Aber wie bald, you can't really go any further. Once you reach the bottom of Malchus, you tell, as kilo, the Zohar Akiyas is beimke aklippes, yet a pshat, that it's a painful thing. It's a lemon as a pshat. The kilo, the toikiv of Malchus, the Asiya, goes over into the not just the Seder Vadrogin Malchus, there's also Seder Vadrogin Malchus. Or that Tuich of Atzmi, which is in Malchus of Asiya, that goes over into the Levinazach. Asiya must learn Pshat. And therefore that'll be the Pshat in the Hadikot, in the Zohar Harakia, that Malchus be imkiak. It was supposed to be imkiak klippers. I mean, the klippers have a certain yanich, as Moses said. You will tell you that the Malchus be imkiak klippers. Davke mitzad that inyan from the Malchus sheba Malchus, the amitis inyan from Malchus kaviyohu, or those geiterim and those gitas are tuikev in the soft color inyan from the klipper. That's inyan from Bavain. Mamela that'll also be efshe, but derech efshe. Looks at the state. In certain drushas there is Das ist der Levoin. Bederach Levoin is indicative of Pshitas. Alav Nuni is Gam Kan is Devak Azeh, aber das ist Rachman in the Klan. Ja, Pshitas, and Alav Nuni is Mamish Behepach, V'takti is Korin. That will be the Pshat. Shamal is Dasi, who be Im Kakli. So otherwise that also does strip. Al Pisa, Yesh Lema, Bederach Hesha, does it. Good. Okay, Mahal, is en de Rike is, so Tzilomea alleen, Rachman in het land. Dat zijn dus wat veel mummies betekenen van Yadma. De Rike is, dat zijn zo Tzilomea alleen van alle klippers. Dat is een beeldje zoveel, die hebben. Zij zijn de Gimel klippers aan Tumeye, Sibbe Tumeye. Dat is als aan in een rij gaat van Makiefen de klipper in Omgetan in Jeden allein, das ist doch zusammen in Mann. Aber mehr Ad Mosai. Take him, yeah, the scientist goes. Like the Rebbe said, what can be done more? And it's in alles gehoord. Ja, weißt du, das ist der jetzt immer Teike. Da kommen zu der Teig. Da ist der Teig. Leute haben, was ist das nach Hause? Muss ein Teig. Oh mein kleine rote Teig von ja, das sein. Ich sehe Hamalach und Mashiach.
Ja, dat nee, dan word je nog bij de man.
Oh mein. Good. Okay, guys. Listen,